Imagine signing a contract that, basically guarantees you tens of millions of dollars.
Right.
And global fame. Like, your face is going to be on billboards in every major city on Earth.
It sounds like the absolute dream.
It does. And then, imagine deciding that the cost to your soul, to your actual identity, is just way too high to ever do it again.
It really sounds completely counterintuitive when you put it like that.
It really does.
Because from the outside, we look at these massive box office numbers, and we just assume landing a role in a cinematic universe is the ultimate golden ticket.
Right. We assume everyone involved must be absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, but when you actually dig into the reality of it, that pristine Hollywood image shatters pretty quickly.
Okay, let's unpack this, because today's deep dive is tackling exactly that.
Yes, it's a fascinating topic.
We are unpacking the stories of 5 major actors who have completely, and I mean permanently, severed ties with Marvel.
Totally burned the bridge.
Exactly. It is this incredible look at what happens when the unstoppable force of individual artistry just violently collides with the immovable object of a giant corporate franchise.
Because what we are really talking about here is a highly restrictive, incredibly high-stakes workplace.
Right.
You and I, and everyone listening, we sit in a dark theater and we see these seamless, entertaining superhero team-ups.
Yeah, it all looks so effortless on screen.
But to manufacture that seamlessness, the studio actually requires a very specific, rigid type of conformity behind the scenes.
Conformity is a good word for it.
Right, and when you bring in highly acclaimed, fiercely independent actors to do this job, you are practically begging for clashing egos.
Oh, for sure.
You're just setting up these radically different creative visions to go to war with each other.
Well, I want to start with Mickey Rourke and Hugo Weaving, because this really highlights a specific kind of structural frustration.
Oh, absolutely.
Both of these guys joined this massive machine, but they ran headfirst into the reality of how these movies are actually constructed.
Yeah, the day-to-day reality is very different from the pitch.
Right. And I've always wondered about Mickey Rourke in Iron Man 2. Like, if Rourke is this acclaimed, character-driven actor, especially coming off The Wrestler around that time.
He was at the absolute top of his game, though.
Exactly. So why did his performance as the villain, Whiplash, feel so, I don't know, kind of one-dimensional? Did he just phone it in for the paycheck?
Actually, no, not at all. In fact, he did the exact opposite, which is kind of the root of the entire problem.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Rourke is a deeply invested method-style actor. When he took the role of Whiplash, he didn't just want to be a guy in a suit who punches the hero in the third act.
Right, he wanted some actual depth.
Exactly. He did extensive research. I mean, he visited Russian prisons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he studied the specific meanings of Russian prison tattoos so he could have them applied to his body accurately.
That is intense for a superhero movie.
It is. He even worked with a dialect coach to ground the character's psychology. He was actively trying to build a three-dimensional human being out of what is basically a comic book archetype.
So he brings all of this intense, textured prep to the set. What actually happens?
Well, the editing room happens.
Ah, of course.
You have to look at the mechanics of a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah.
The studio isn't just making Iron Man 2.
Right, they're making like a puzzle piece.
Exactly. They are making an episode in a much larger television series. That 2-hour movie has to set up future sequels, introduce new heroes like Black Widow.
It has to tease the Avengers.
Yes, and hit very specific pre-visualized action beats.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like being hired to paint this beautiful, complex, original mural, but when you show up to the studio with all your supplies, they just hand you a color-by-numbers book.
That is exactly it.
And they tell you to stay strictly inside the lines. You bring all these weird, fascinating colors, and they're like, yeah, we just need you to use red and blue, thanks.
That is the perfect analogy. And in this case, the studio took Rourke's complex mural and literally cut it to pieces in post-production.
Oh, man, that's brutal.
They stripped away the vast majority of the psychological nuance and all the quieter character-building scenes he filmed.
Just because of pacing?
Mostly, yeah, because those scenes take up valuable screen time. Time that the studio needed to move the overarching franchise plot forward.
Wow.
To the studio, the villain is often just a functional puzzle piece. But to the actor, it's their craft.
Right, and when the movie came out, Rourke was furious.
Oh, he was beyond furious.
Yeah.
He felt his hard work was systematically erased just to serve a corporate formula.
Which has to be incredibly disheartening. I mean, you put your blood, sweat, and tears into building a human being, and it ends up on the cutting room floor so they can fit in like a 3-minute scene explaining a magic glowing cube.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow for an artist.
But that brings us to Hugo Weaving, which feels like a different flavor of this same friction.
Definitely.
He played the Red Skull in Captain America.
Visually, it is one of the most iconic villain performances in the entire genre. But his exit wasn't just about screen time.
What was it about then?
It was about the fundamental methodology of making these movies.
Right, because after filming Wrapped, Weaving actually took to social media to very publicly voice his dissatisfaction.
He didn't hold back at all.
No, he explicitly stated he couldn't accept being part of, quote, such a movie.
Yeah.
Which is a brutal public rejection of the biggest studio on Earth. But what does he actually mean by such a movie? Was the script just bad?
No, it's much deeper than the script.
Yeah.
It's about the daily, physical reality of the job itself.
Okay, how so?
Think about a classically trained actor like Hugo Weaving. Their entire toolkit relies on reacting to the environment, connecting with scene partners, exploring the human condition.
Like actual theater work.
Right. Now, drop that actor into a modern blockbuster production. You are spending hours every single morning glued to a chair, having heavy, restrictive prosthetics glued to your face.
Sounds exhausting.
It is. Then you walk onto a soundstage that is entirely painted neon green. There are literally no practical sets.
So you're just standing in a green void.
Exactly. You are often acting completely alone, delivering dialogue to a tennis ball glued to the end of a stick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which will eventually be replaced by a CGI monster 18 months later.
That's crazy.
And your dialogue isn't exploring deep themes. It's heavily functional exposition designed to explain the plot mechanics to the audience.
So it's not just that his character felt hollow, it's that the actual literal process of acting was hollowed out for him.
Precisely. Weaving realized that the machinery required to manufacture such a movie, the green screens, the disjointed shooting schedules, the heavy reliance on post-production visual effects, all of it was fundamentally incompatible with his identity as an artist.
Wow. So his public statement was really a rejection of the franchise assembly line itself.
Yeah, he basically realized that no amount of money could make that specific working environment creatively fulfilling for him.
It really paints a picture of this incredibly rigid ecosystem. Like, either fit the mold, submit to the green screen in the editing room, or you get crushed by the machine.
That's exactly how it operates.
Which transitions us perfectly into our next actor, Edward Norton.
Yes, this is a really interesting one.
Because if Rourke and Weaving felt like their scenes and their daily process were being controlled, Edward Norton's situation shows what happens when the studio's control threatens an actor's entire career identity.
Edward Norton is a fascinating case study in Hollywood power dynamics.
Definitely.
We are talking about a highly respected, intense, very hands-on actor who took on the role of the Hulk back in 2008.
And almost immediately, there was massive friction.
No, huge friction.
Like, the reports show Norton was very vocal behind the scenes. He had deep concerns about being typecast, about being locked into this giant green monster for a decade.
Which is a valid fear for someone of his caliber.
Absolutely. And how does Marvel respond to this hesitation? They put out statements heavily implying that Norton was, quote, too difficult to work with.
Yep.
And just like that, they severed ties and recast the role. But here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Oh, yeah.
We hear the phrase difficult to work with, and my brain immediately goes to an actor throwing hot coffee at an intern or locking themselves in their trailer for 6 hours.
Right, the classic Hollywood diva behavior.
Yeah. But in the context of this massive corporate machine, what does difficult actually mean? Is it just corporate code for someone who refuses to shut up and blindly follow orders?
In many cases, yes, that's exactly what it is.
Seriously.
Yeah, you have to understand that the phrase difficult to work with is one of the most loaded, weaponized terms in Hollywood public relations.
Wait, break that down for me. How does a studio actually weaponize that? Don't reporters investigate if he actually threw the coffee?
Well, the ecosystem of Hollywood trades relies heavily on access.
Oh, right. Access is everything.
Exactly. Studios control the flow of casting announcements, exclusive interviews, and breaking news.
Oh, I see where this is going.
If a studio quietly feeds a narrative to the press that an actor was uncollaborative or lacked the team spirit required for an ensemble, that just becomes the prevailing industry truth.
That's terrifying.
It is. They don't need to accuse him of a crime.
Right.
They just need to frame him as a liability to the production schedule.
Wow. So they shift all the blame onto the individual to protect the corporation's image.
Precisely.
Because they can't exactly put out a press release saying, Edward Norton wants to protect his artistic integrity and we need an obedient employee, so they just brand him as a problem.
Exactly. It neutralizes his legitimate creative complaints by framing him as a diva.
Man, that's so manipulative.
And more importantly, it serves as a glaring warning to any future actors joining the franchise.
Like, fall in line or else.
Yeah, get on board with the program, smile on the press tour, or we will publicly ruin your reputation.
But let me push back on Norton's side of things for a second here.
Okay, sure.
His big fear was typecasting. But is typecasting even a legitimate threat anymore?
It absolutely is.
I mean, Harrison Ford was Han Solo and Indiana Jones, and he still did a ton of other great movies. Aren't actors just being a little precious when they complain about being recognized as a superhero?
I get why you'd think that, but the scale of modern franchises makes it a very different beast today.
Oh, so?
If you are the Hulk, you aren't just playing a character in a 2-hour movie. Your face is on lunchboxes, backpacks, video games, and theme park rides globally for 10 years.
Oh, wow. You essentially become a corporate mascot.
Exactly. You are a mascot. And for an actor like Edward Norton, whose entire livelihood and artistic brand depends on audiences believing him in dozens of different complex, grounded roles.
Right, like in Fight Club or American History X.
Yes. Being swallowed up by a CGI monster is a massive financial and artistic threat for him.
I guess I never thought about it like that.
If audiences can only see you as the Hulk, you lose the ability to disappear into a quiet indie drama. You lose your versatility.
So fighting back against the studio's demands isn't just about vanity.
Not at all.
It's actually about protecting your future earning potential and your freedom to actually act in other things.
Exactly. So the studio needs absolute compliance for their interconnected universe to function, and the actor needs autonomy to survive in the industry.
It's a complete stalemate.
It really is.
It forces you to look at these casting announcements completely differently. It's not just a job offer. It's literally a negotiation of your identity.
And sometimes actors do the math, realize the price of that identity is simply too high, and they make the choice to leave entirely on their own terms.
Which brings us to the final two actors in our deep dive today, Dave Bautista and Henry Cavill.
Right.
Because if the first three guys were these explosive, messy fallouts over editing and PR battles, Bautista and Cavill represent something very different.
They really do.
They represent the clean break.
They represent a reclamation of power, which is incredibly rare in the modern franchise landscape. Let's look at Dave Bautista first.
Right. He played Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, universally beloved by the fans, great relationship with the director, total success story.
A huge success.
But he stated definitively that Guardians Volume 3 was his absolute last appearance. He was done.
Clean cut.
Yeah. No multiverse cameos, no spin-offs, just a hard, permanent stop. I find this fascinating because, in Hollywood, nobody walks away from a guaranteed hit.
It is almost unheard of. But to understand why it's such a massive assertion of power, you have to understand how franchise contracts are structured.
Okay, tell me.
Studios design these deals to keep actors on an indefinite hook. You sign on for 3 movies, plus options for cameos in other franchises, plus holding fees that prevent you from taking competing jobs.
Oh, wow, so they own you.
Pretty much. The system is designed so that the studio decides when you are done, not you.
It's like the Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Exactly. And Bautista actively rejected that trap.
You know, it reminds me of a professional athlete.
Oh, how so?
Well, Bautista is essentially the star player choosing to retire at the absolute top of his game.
That's a great point.
He won the championship, he finished his story, and he is walking off the field on his own terms rather than waiting for the team's front office to trade him or bench him when he gets too old.
That's a brilliant way to frame it. He recognized the danger of staying too long at the party.
Yeah.
By drawing a definitive line, he forces the industry to see him as an independent actor available for new, challenging roles.
Right, like his work in Dune or Knock at the Cabin.
Exactly. Rather than just being a permanent fixture in the Marvel background, he prioritized his future artistic growth over the safety net of a guaranteed franchise paycheck.
That takes a lot of guts.
Yeah.
And then we have Henry Cavill, which introduces a completely different kind of boundary.
It's a very modern problem.
Yeah, because Bautista walked away from the genre entirely, but Cavill's situation is about the invisible walls within the genre itself. We know Cavill first committed to playing Superman in the DC universe, and simply by putting on that specific cape, he is effectively off the table for Marvel.
Which highlights a fascinating evolution in the modern blockbuster era. We aren't just talking about different movie studios competing for box office dollars anymore.
What are we talking about then?
We are talking about deeply entrenched, highly exclusive walled gardens of intellectual property.
Walled gardens, I like that. To use the sports analogy again, Cavill isn't just retiring. He's the star quarterback who signed a massive, exclusive 10-year contract with the rival team across town.
Yeah.
You physically cannot play for the Yankees and the Red Sox at the same time.
Exactly.
But my question is why? If I'm an actor, why does the studio care if I fight aliens for Marvel in May and fight robots for DC in December?
2 words. Brand contamination.
Brand contamination.
Yeah. When you commit to a role as monumental as Superman, you aren't just an actor reading lines. You are the physical embodiment of a multi-billion-dollar corporate strategy.
Wow, no pressure.
Right. You are the anchor for their merchandise, their theme parks, and their global marketing.
So they demand total loyalty.
Absolute loyalty.
Yeah.
Marvel cannot cast the literal face of DC's most iconic hero in one of their movies without completely shattering the illusion of their own carefully constructed universe.
That makes sense. It would confuse everyone.
You can confuse the audience, and more importantly, it dilutes the marketing power. Cavill's situation proves how polarized the industry has become.
Right.
Top-tier talent is being siloed. You have to pick a side. And once you are inside one of these massive corporate ecosystems, the walls are incredibly high.
It really changes how you view the whole landscape of Hollywood. Like when a movie gets cast now, it's not just a director sitting in a room picking the best actor for the part.
Not at all.
It's a high-level corporate negotiation about who belongs to which ecosystem, who is legally allowed to cross enemy lines, and who is willing to sign away their autonomy for the next decade.
That is the grim reality of it.
So what does this all mean? We've looked at Rourke and Weaving fighting against the editing room and the soul-crushing reality of green screen acting.
Yep.
We've seen Norton battling a weaponized PR machine just to save his identity from being permanently typecast.
Right.
And we've seen Bautista and Cavill navigating the exit doors and the exclusive walled gardens of these rival corporate factions.
When you synthesize all of this, the overarching theme is really undeniable.
What's the takeaway?
Behind the colorful capes, the massive explosions, and the incredible special effects, this is fundamentally a story about modern workplace dynamics.
That is so true.
It's about the very real struggle for creative control in a corporate environment that is basically algorithmically designed to minimize risk.
Wow.
It exposes the heavy, sometimes career-altering price of being a cog in a multi-billion-dollar machine.
It honestly makes you appreciate the actors who managed to survive it and still deliver great performances.
It really does.
But it also gives you a deep, profound respect for the ones who draw a line in the sand and walk away. You realize they aren't just turning down a massive paycheck.
No, they are fighting for the survival of their craft.
Yeah.
And that leaves us with something critical to think about as audiences.
I'd love to hear it.
If the biggest, most financially successful movies in the history of the world are systematically stifling individual creativity
Yeah.
to the point where top-tier Academy Award caliber talent refuses to ever return to the genre,
Right.
what does that actually mean for the future of cinema? Are we slowly, willingly trading great, nuanced acting for great, interconnected plotting?
Oh, wow. That is a heavy, fascinating question to leave you with. Next time you're sitting in the theater, eating popcorn and watching the hero save the day against a green screen sky, take a second to think about the complex mural they might have wanted to paint for you.
Yes.
And the restrictive color-by-numbers book they were handed instead.
Mm.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.